All right, everyone. Today, in very, very funny news, you're going to want to take the link in the description. You're going to want to look at the replies. The man that launched 1,000 memes, well, it's more than 1,000 by now, JD Vance, actually. Joy Reid went on a rant the other day talking about racism, which she talks about every time she opens her mouth pretty much, and how J.D. Vance only got into Yale because he was a poor white Appalachian. They wanted a white person for that position, but they needed a poor one. And these ignorant, mediocre white men, she's sexist, she's racist. If you were to say something comparable on any network, and you happen to be white, and you were saying this about, well, you only got in because you're black, it wouldn't cut it. No major network, in fact, most podcasters, would boot you off the fucking show immediately and be sweating bullets if you made such statements on some sort of broadcast. Joy Reid, talking about mediocre people, by the way, is very, very humorous. Miss Reid, you are one of the most mediocre people on air. That's why you got fired from MSNBC, and that's why you're doing the shitty podcast thing. The Joy Reid podcast. Join 10 other viewers while we listen to the crazy lady ramble about how bad white men are and about how, we was Kangs, basically. That's her show. That's basically what she does. J.D. Vance, though, is talented. I know that some of you have your reservations with regards to J.D. Vance, with regards to elements of his political ideology. There are some people that they just don't trust him. And they're like, I voted for Trump, but I'm not sure I'd vote for J.D. Vance. Personally, if this is what we have to look forward to, it'd be crazy not to vote for him. So then he posts the picture of him as a big fat bald man with a bloated face just staring creepily straight out. And that was his response to the clip from Joy Reid. She's currently trending on Twitter for a reason, and most of it is very negative attention towards her, basically spamming her with JD Vance pictures at this point. Go ahead and look through it. I mean, people are making like AI videos. There's at least one song on there called JD Advanced, which is hilarious, by the way. And so he just leaned into it. He didn't even make a verbal response. He's just like, look at who's talking. Mediocre person. Do you own a mirror? That's probably what he asked himself. He was probably laughing his ass off. I'm hoping that he's showing his family some of these video clips. I'm sure that he's shown Trump several of these clips by now. He's probably having a great time today. He woke up and he's like, ha ha ha, I can't wait to see what was posted now. This is a master move because without even saying anything, you just debilitated Joy Reid's entire argument. She's just rambling about, she can't understand, she can't comprehend, I think, because of her privilege, and she is privileged. She's got that DEI protection that people like Joy Reid, especially if they have, I mean, if they wander off the leftist reservation, then they get called an Oreo by the white NIMBYist liberals that would have been their friends and pretended that they didn't make jokes about the help behind their back. This is why Michelle Obama will never run for office, by the way. I guarantee. On both levels. They just don't seem to understand. No, being a poor Appalachian white does not really give you privilege in life. I would know. I'm one of them. I was born in the hinterlands of the Green Mountains. Well, technically I was born in New Hampshire, but I was raised in the hinterlands of the Green Mountains, in a poor family. White trash, fucking mountain people, basically. Mom had a dirt floored cabin for a while she was living in, and no running water and it's stuff like that. What a privilege it has been to be, in such a situation. Joy Reid goes back to her fucking penthouse or wherever I'm sure that she lives a rich bitch lifestyle because she was getting paid up pretty good. She might have spent all the money by now because she's not very intelligent, but assuming that she managed not to go bankrupt after getting fired, I get a golden parachute anyway. She went back to her penthouse after this and sulked, with their $100 glass of champagne from Elizabeth Warren. That's the sort of thing that we're dealing with. You have people that look down. They hate J.D. Vance the most. They can't levy this at Trump he was born into relative wealth. Now, he made most of his fortune on his own, but he was not born poor. He was born in the upper class. He was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, effectively. His dad was a developer, and so he doesn't know what it's like to be poor, Trump. J.D. Vance does. That takes an arrow out of their quiver. They can't talk about, oh, these rich bitches, the billionaire class and stuff. And J.D. Vance can say, yeah, yeah, you know what I did as a kid? I found it great to scrounge crumbs off the floor. I'm so privileged by being a white male. And she also insinuates that he's uncouth or unintelligent because he's a hick. He's a hillbilly. He's white trash like I am. So we're unintelligent, according to people like Joy Reid. I should be talking like this, and then later on, I'm going to get me my pickup. I'm going to clean some of that rust off there. One of its tires ain't working quite right, and I'm going to go fuck my cousin. My cousin's also my mother and my sister somehow because, we're all inbred. By the way, I missed several more teeth this morning because all I do is drink Budweiser all day. That's sort of the conception that these rich liberals have of people, especially whites, rural, who happen to disagree with them. Now, if that person becomes, if J.D. Vance, Bizarro World mode, do you think that she would say something like this? If J.D. Vance had the same exact upbringing, poor, white mountain boy, ends up in Yale, and then becomes a left-wing activist. If J.D. Vance went Bernie Sanders mode, would she be saying this about him? I think not. I don't think she'd have any problem with him. No, then he'd be one of those white NIMBYists who would then be, wealthy, vice president and so forth, or whatever he was doing, and then secretly look down on her because of the color of her skin. Again, get a white NIMBYist liberal who has the NPR mug, get them loaded, and see what comes out of their mouth. Try it sometime. It's hilarious fun. J.D. Vance worked his way up in a meritocratic sense. He didn't get into Yale because of some non-existent DEI for white poor hillbilly dudes that does not exist. DEI and affirmative action, like things like that, they do not benefit people like us. They do not. And then, when we finally make it, all of a sudden we're still the bad guy. Before we were an uncouth, toothless cousin lover. And, probably has a clan robe in the drawer and everything like that. My closet's full of Nazi paraphernalia, as you know. No, actually, I've got an M1 helmet from World War II. It's from the American side. Anyway, no, before we were uncouth, basically savages. We were kind of like animals. Now that we've made it, if we don't pay homage to the left-wing altar, so Orange Man bad, I love diversity, I think that, drag queens should read little kids' books about their asshole. If we don't do that, now we're just a bunch of evil Nazis. And for some reason, we made it because of the fact of the color of our skin. Despite literally every headwind being against us, we still managed to make it, but obviously something was boosting us. And then she and they're talking about how God must be black and weird shit like this. This is one of the most bizarre exchanges that she's had, and that's going some. This is Joy Reid we're talking about, so nothing surprises me from her mouth anymore, unless she says something that actually makes sense. When that happens, I think, must be a cold day in hell. I guess they got a blizzard. They're getting a little bit of Vermont weather. That's about all. Peace out.